I've been fixing and opening locks for 40 years. 4 decades, same trade. And I'll tell you something most fellas in my line won't say out loud. I can get through most of the front doors on your street faster than you can dig your keys out of your bag. That's not me bragging. That's the part that should bother you. Because everything I picked up over 40 years, the guy walking your block on a Tuesday afternoon got from a few videos and a $20 kit off the internet. He didn't earn it. He just watched. My name's Hank Bricklin. When most people picture a break-in, they picture a smashed window, a door hanging off its hinges, glass all over the kitchen floor. The quiet ones don't look like anything at all. The lock still turns. The door still shuts behind them on the way out. You come home, set your bags down, and everything looks exactly how you left it, and you never once think that somebody stood right where you're standing now. So I'm going to walk you through the 5 ways somebody gets past a locked door in under 10 seconds. And after each one, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'd do about it, same as if you lived next door to me and asked over the fence. A couple of these fixes cost less than a pizza, and the best one on the whole list is a screwdriver and about 10 minutes. Before the countdown, one thing you have to understand, because it ties all 5 of these together. The lock on most front doors in this country is what we call builder grade. When a house goes up, somebody orders locks by the case, the cheapest ones that pass inspection, and unless you personally changed yours, that's what's on your door right now. A shiny brass knob and a deadbolt that feels solid in your hand. Feels is the operative word. Inside, they are about as simple as a lock gets, and simple is the exact thing these 5 methods were built to eat. And this isn't just a homeowner problem. If you rent, you've got no idea how many copies of your key are floating around out there from every tenant who lived in that place before you. And the landlord almost never changes the hardware between renters because the cheap thing to do is nothing. The good news is that fixing most of what I'm about to show you costs a lot less than folks assume. You very often don't need a new lock at all. You need the guts of the one you've got swapped out. And that's a job measured in minutes, not dollars. Number 5, bumping. This is the one that keeps folks up at night once they hear about it, because it leaves no mark whatsoever. I'll keep the how-to vague on purpose, but here's the shape of it. Inside a standard lock, there's a row of little spring-loaded pins sitting at different heights. Your key is just a strip of metal cut to shove every one of those pins to precisely the right spot at the same instant. A bump attack fakes that with a specially cut blank and one sharp little tap. For a fraction of a second, every pin jumps, and if the timing lands, the lock turns like the real key went in. The whole thing takes a second or two. No scratches around the keyhole, no broken anything. That's what makes it ugly. If somebody bumps your door, you will not know it happened. You'll figure you forgot to lock up, or you'll quietly blame your teenager, and you'll go on with your day. I've had customers call me a week after a theft they never reported because they only just realized the door was never open. It was bumped. And here's the part that ought to make you a little angry. In most places, owning the blanks this takes isn't even illegal. There's no law protecting you here because the tools have legitimate uses, mine included. So you can't wait for somebody else to fix this for you. It's on the door. Now here's what I'd do about it. Bumping only works on those plain factory pins, so you replace them. What you want is a cylinder with security pins inside. Spool pins, serrated pins, the ones with a little mushroom shape that catch and bind and kill the trick. Any decent locksmith can repin the deadbolt you already own with those in about half an hour, and that is the cheapest real security upgrade on this entire list. If you'd rather buy new, get a genuine high-security cylinder. The names I've trusted for years are Medico, Multilock, and Abloy. And if there's a door you never use from the outside, a side door, a back door, put a keyless deadbolt on it, the kind that only turns from a thumb turn on the inside. You can't bump a lock that has no keyhole. Nothing to bump. Number 4, picking, and its lazy cousin, raking. Picking is the one everybody knows from the movies. A guy crouched at the knob with 2 little tools, working slow and quiet, feeling for each pin. Real picking like that does take practice, I'll give it that. But raking takes almost none. Raking is the shortcut. Instead of setting each pin careful and patient, you drag a tool back and forth across all of them fast and let them bounce into place by speed and luck. And on a cheap builder-grade lock, that luck runs heavy in the burglar's favor. A few seconds and it's open. I once had a 16-year-old in my shop, kid of a buddy of mine, and I handed him a bargain bin deadbolt and a cheap rake to make a point. Took him longer to wrestle the tool out of the plastic packaging than it took him to open the lock. That's not a knock on the kid, that's a knock on the lock. Good news here. The fix is the same family as bumping, so one upgrade covers both. Those security pins fight raking just as hard as they fight bumping. Add a restricted keyway on top, meaning the blank keys aren't sold at every hardware counter in town, and the casual guy with a kit hits a wall. The better systems are patent protected, so a copy can't even legally be cut without your say-so and a card you keep. That's not just anti-pick, that's anti-the ex who never gave the key back. And learn the grades. There's a rating stamped on the good stuff. ANSI Grade 1, Grade 2, Grade 3. Grade 1 is the strong one, and it's what I run on my own house. Most of what's hanging on the pegboard at the big warehouse store is Grade 3, the weakest. Nobody tells you that at checkout. You are allowed to spend $60 on the one object standing between the whole world and your kids asleep down the hall. Number 3, snapping. This one you're going to see more and more, especially on the newer doors, the composite and the UPVC kind with the tall handle you lift up to lock. Those use a part called a Euro cylinder, and a lot of them have a built-in weak point right through the middle, where the fixing screw passes through and there's just less metal. Here's the tell. If that cylinder sticks out past the hardware even a little, that little lip is a handle. Somebody grips the exposed bit, snaps the cylinder clean in half at the weak point, and the mechanism is wide open. The rest is a common flathead screwdriver and a few seconds. Over in the UK, they've actually measured this one because those doors are everywhere over there. By some counts, snapping is behind roughly a quarter of break-ins on that style of door, and a practiced hand does the whole thing in about 13 seconds. Quiet, too. A neighbor wouldn't so much as look up. Your fix is specific, and you can start it in the next 60 seconds. Go outside and look straight at your cylinder. Does it poke out past the metal plate around it more than a couple millimeters? Call it the thickness of a nickel? If it does, that's the handle, and you want it gone. Order an anti-snap cylinder. In the UK, the good ones carry a 3-star kite mark or the Ultion name. Here in the States, ask your locksmith for an anti-snap Euro cylinder cut to the correct length so it sits flush with the hardware. Flush is the whole game. A cylinder that doesn't stick out gives them nothing to grab and nothing to break. 2 details that'll save you a headache. Measure your existing cylinder before you order, both sides from the center screw, because a Euro cylinder that's too long is the exact thing you're trying to get rid of, and one that's too short won't turn. And on the rating, you can get to a strong setup 2 ways: a top-end cylinder on its own, or a solid 1-star cylinder paired with a 2-star security handle over it, which together do the same job. Either way, the goal is the same. Nothing exposed, nothing to snap. Quick thing before number 2, because number 2 is where the real everyday damage gets done. If any of this has you glancing over at your own front door right now, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I put one of these out every week, just plain talk from 40 years in the trade, and I've got nothing in the back of the van to sell you. All right, number 2. Number 2, drilling. This is the one working burglars actually reach for, more than any clever pick you've seen online, and it's exactly as blunt as it sounds. A cordless drill, one bit, aimed at the right part of the cylinder. 20, 30 seconds of noise, sometimes less, and all those pins that were doing the securing are just a little pile of metal shavings on your welcome mat. No skill, no practice, no talent required. If you own a drill and a Saturday, you already understand the entire method. I don't like that this works, but it works, and me pretending it doesn't would just get you hurt. So we make the lock fight the drill. A good cylinder has hardened steel pins built into it, little rods that spin loose against a drill bit and wear the bit down instead of letting it pass. That's an anti-drill lock. And here's the part I love. Your Grade 1 high-security cylinders come with this already baked in, and a lot of them add a hardened plate across the front of the cylinder on top of it. So when you're shopping, look for the words anti-drill or drill-resistant printed right on the box. And if you're not sure what you're holding, that's a one-sentence question for any locksmith. Some of the good ones go a step further and drop in hardened ball bearings or spinning anti-drill rollers, so the bit just skates and screams and gets nowhere. The same upgrade that shut down bumping and picking a minute ago usually shuts down drilling in the very same package. One lock, 3 problems gone. Number 1. And number 1 isn't picking your lock at all. That's the whole point of it. Here's the thing the lock company would rather not lead with. Most break-ins skip every single method I just showed you. They don't bump, they don't pick, they don't drill. They walk up and kick the door, and the door loses. Study after study on how burglars actually get into homes comes back the same way. The large majority use plain force. It's fast, it's loud for exactly 1 second, and it's over before a neighbor makes it to the window. And it has almost nothing to do with your lock. You can hang the finest deadbolt ever made on a door, and I'll walk you right to where it fails. Open your front door and look at the frame, at the spot the bolt slides into. There's a small metal plate there. We call it the strike plate. Now look close at the screws holding that plate on. On a door straight from the factory, those screws are about a ½ inch long. Half an inch. They bite into a thin strip of soft pine trim and nothing behind it. So when a boot hits the door, the bolt holds, the lock holds, the plate holds, but that skinny sliver of pine splinters like a toothpick and the whole door swings in. The lock did its job perfectly. The wood somebody screwed it to never stood a chance. This is the cheapest and the best fix on the entire list, and you can have it done before dinner. Back those short screws out and drive in 3-inch screws instead, the long ones, so they punch through the trim and bury deep into the actual wall stud framing your house. Now a burglar isn't fighting a strip of molding anymore. He's fighting the skeleton of your home. While you're at it, grab a strike plate reinforcement kit, a heavy metal box strike, $10 or $15, comes with the long screws already. That single afternoon turns the weakest part of your door into the strongest. If you do one thing after this video, that's the one. Long screws into the stud. And 2 more, free, on your way out the door. Actually throw the deadbolt, not just the handle. That little spring latch in your knob, the angled one, can be slipped in seconds by a guy who knows what he's doing, and half the time people walk off, leaving only the knob locked because it clicks on its own. The deadbolt is the part that actually holds a door shut, and when you throw it all the way, a full inch of bolt out into the frame, every time. A bolt that only sticks out a ½ inch is how a locked door opens like it was never locked. One more, since somebody always asks about the fancy stuff. A smart lock, the kind you open with your phone, doesn't get you out of any of this. Under that keypad, most of them are still a plain deadbolt bolted to the same frame with the same short screws, so everything I said about number 1 still applies. And a lot of the cheap ones have a regular keyway on the bottom as a backup, which means they can be bumped or picked just like anything else. A smart lock buys you convenience and a record of who came and went. It does not buy you a stronger door. The screws and the cylinder still have to be good underneath. So there they are, bumping, picking, snapping, drilling, and the plain old boot to a door screwed into nothing. 5 ways in, and a fix for every one that costs less than most folks spend on coffee in a month. The alarm companies would love to sell you a camera so you can watch it happen in high definition from your phone. Me, I'd rather you set it up so it never happens at all. Start with the 3-inch screws in that strike plate. Then walk out front, look dead at your cylinder, and ask yourself the one honest question. Does it stick out? That $12 fix from number 1 earned its own video, and I already made it. Look up the $12 lock upgrade that stops 90% of home break-ins. It's the first thing I'd do if I were you.